One Mega Event 2017. The session of the day is IoT-enabled infrastructure for cities. The chair for the session is Dr. Rishi Bhatnagar, President, AERIS, India. May I request Rishi Bhatnagar to please come on stage? Thank you. The keynote speaker of the session is Mr. Justin Bean, Director, Smart City Solutions Marketing, Hitachi. The panelists are Mr. Ajit Sarnaik, Chief Architect, Cognito Networks USA, Mr. B. Sivakumar, Director, Cimcon India and Asia Pacific, Mr. Chetan Mogal, CEO, BIM Engineering, US, LLC, USA, Mr. Rohiet Sharma, National Sales Head, Homes, Honeywell Home and Building Technologies, India, Ms. Swati Vyas, Co-founder, Cubical Labs, India, Mr. Sunil Ashok Shetty, Key Account Sales Manager, Advantech, India, Mr. Tharma Indran, Associate Partner, Climatify Private Limited, Malaysia, Mr. Todd, Managing Director, Smart City Accelerator, Dubai. May I now invite Dr. Rishi Bhatnagar to take over the session and introduce the speakers. Thank you.
Welcome to this session. My name is Dr. Rishi Bhatnagar. I'm the President for AERIS Communication. And I'm also the Chairperson for the India IoT panel from IET. And I'm also the 4-member task force member from NASSCOM for Smart Cities. So I have been working quite a lot on the Smart City initiatives. And this was, might be the reason why they choose me as a chairperson for this particular panel. And I'm really very glad to have such a large panel in front of you with vast experience. While I'm assuming many of you know what Internet of Things is, while what the smart cities are. And we all know the kind of challenges the India is facing as a country and the kind of challenges we all are trying to resolve. I just want to give you an example. When I was born, that was a time when people used to used to apply for a telephone line. And there used to be MTNL and all those people who will put the copper wire in front of your house. And after a few months or a year, you used to get the telephone line. Okay, and that many of us must have seen that time. But suddenly the mobile revolution came. And now not only the telephone line, but a mobile connection and a communication channel is already available. That means there were challenges, there were problems, and suddenly there was a solution which we all could get into. And now talking and communication is no more a challenge. With the kind of vast problems our country is facing, whether it is respect to transportation or solid waste management or water management, and we start thinking about the kind of cities we have, the kind of infrastructure we have, and the kind of challenges we are facing. How can we use a technology instead of trying to see how to create a water line or a pipe, transportation and all, how this new technology world of Internet of Things will take us to the next level, where resolution of such kind of problems can be much faster and can be achieved immediately. That's one point where the Internet of Things as a technology will be able to help all of us to save the energy or save the time and how to fast track everything that is supposed to happen. But while all of these things are happening, the Ministry of Urban Development came out with a framework for the smart cities in India. We are targeting for 100 plus smart cities across the country. The kind of challenges we all know, but the framework and how to handle that and what kind of ecosystem and the solutions are available is something which is still people are trying to learn. And that's something where we all are facing a lot of challenges, and as part of the NASSCOM task force or the IoT panel chair, we keep on brainstorming and see how can we help people to understand, and these CEOs for these smart cities, which is a new very good initiative the government of India has taken, and the kind of how will they generate resources is something which is very good. But it is going to take time, and every city has a different challenge. And many times, I used to work for Tech Mahindra, Milton Keynes and Dubai Smart Cities is where we used to work, and we used to find many solutions. But India is different. Our challenges are different. What a city called Moradabad requires is not the need for Varanasi. And when it becomes Coimbatore or Kolhapur, it becomes much more different. So every city has its own challenges. Every city has its own culture. Every city has its own requirements. And we need to see how to create a centralized thing for everything. And when I start thinking about city as a whole, I took an initiative and implemented many IoT solutions in Mahindra World City, Jaipur, which is 3,000 acres of 3,600 acres of land personally. And we created a centralized command and control center. And while we are creating that, we said how the same camera can provide information not only to the police for the security and surveillance, but also to the municipality for the garbage. And how the same kind of sensors and the devices used can provide a centralized information, and you can utilize many things. And we worked on the Lucknow security surveillance project, and we did many other things. It's a huge learning. And I'm sure, today with the kind of panel and a great panel which we have in front of us, we'll be able to learn quite a lot. So what I'll do is I'll invite each of them one by one after introducing them. And I'll request them to spend 5 to 7 minutes on how can we resolve these challenges, what kind of solutions are available, and what's their thoughts. And in the end, we're going to have around 15, 20 minutes where we'll be able to take your questions. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Justin Bean, Director Smart City Solution, Marketing, Hitachi. Justin is the Director for Smart City Solutions Marketing at Hitachi Inside Group, which brings IoT solutions to market with the mission of social innovation. Justin has worked with startups and Fortune 500 companies. And he was the recipient of the 2015 Think Prize in association with the renowned innovation and design firm IDEO for the financial empowerment challenges. He holds an MBA in sustainable management and resides in San Francisco, California. Come, Justin.
Great, thank you for that introduction. So let's talk a little bit about what smart cities really are. If you ask 100 people what a smart city is, you're likely to get 450 different answers. Right? There's very many different ways of defining this for very many different places. So what we often see are these sort of futuristic, gothic, technology-focused images when people talk about smart cities. But what's missing from a scene like this is people. And what is a city without people? Nothing. It's a bunch of concrete that falls apart. So a city, first and foremost, must be safe. This has to be a place where people can enjoy their time, they can go to work without fear, and live safely. A smart city has to thrive. It has to have the economic opportunity that helps people support their families, live out their dreams, and be creative people that have great lives. On top of this, it has to be convenient. It has to be a place where we can get around, a place where we can find work, where we can connect with each other. And this is how we're really defining smart cities from a people-centric point of view. Because as I said, without people, without defining this in terms of people, we're just creating technology, which we shouldn't do. A lot of people already know a lot of these figures, but our species is becoming much more urbanized. Many more people are moving to cities. India is around 30% urbanized today, up from about 18% in 1960. So this country is rapidly urbanizing, and people are moving to cities very quickly. Cities are growing. This is going to put a lot of pressure on cities, going from 3.6 to 6 billion people over the next few decades. This is going to put a lot of stress on infrastructure, on public services. So it's a real challenge for governments to be able to provide the services they need to. But this isn't just about challenges. This isn't just about problems. This is about opportunities also. And cities are responsible for around 80% of GDP. I think that's a global figure. So this is where a lot of our commerce comes from, a lot of our opportunity, a lot of the money that supports our lives. It's where a majority of emissions and energy consumption all comes from. So if we solve the urban challenge, if we solve smart cities, then we solve a lot of human challenges for the world. And this is the place where it all happens, and this is the time to do it. This is all happening within the context of a changing society and changing economies. We're shifting from product-driven companies to outcome-driven companies. Governments and consumers want their end goal, they want their end outcome, they don't just want a product. Same for cities. Everything is becoming as a service. 15-year-olds in the US, for example, are not very interested in owning a car anymore. They want a cell phone and they want to download Uber so they can get where they need to go. This is similar with Airbnb and other different services. It's shifting away from this physical sense to shared stuff. Again, we have closed systems moving to open. We have a great panel of lots of different companies doing lots of different things in the smart city space, and we all need to play together. We all have to be open to helping each other succeed and reach these outcomes in these cities. And we need to optimize everything. This is being driven by the Internet of Things, automation, and then artificial intelligence is emerging as something that brings this all together to, again, automate, but also to give us better answers to what to do with the data that we have. Again, opportunities. McKinsey came out with this study recently that showed that governments globally could have the opportunity to improve their effectiveness and efficiency by $3.5 trillion per year. That is a massive, massive opportunity for improvement. So with these smart cities, with the technology, with the data, we can figure out how to do things smarter so that we're saving this $3.5 trillion. We can invest that into social services, infrastructure, all kinds of different things, and do more with the resources that we do have. This isn't just about waste that's occurring today. This is about using the technology that we have to do more with what we have. Again, it's an opportunity. This is the evolution of the desk. So we all remember when desks sort of looked like this, but what's happening is all of these physical products are now becoming digitized. They're all turning into bits and ones and zeros that create a service or a product that's often free. And so the business models are changing on top of that. You used to have to go buy a Rolodex, and now you just download LinkedIn. You used to have to spend a lot of money on an international call. Now you get on Skype for free and make a free video call. These things are totally changing the way we do things. All these apps are now on our phone too. You don't even have to open your laptop. So this is an incredibly interesting and innovative way that the world is changing. Okay, so let's get down to cities and how this affects cities. So cities are incredibly complex. We have a physical layer. This is all the stuff that we use. We have a layer of infrastructure for IT and sensors and data. We send this data over the airwaves through these digital networks. Government operates, provides its services on top of these layers. And then we do the sort of strategic aspects of urban planning on top of that that provide this platform upon which we all live. This is where we get our energy and our water, we operate our businesses, and this is where we live, is on top of all of this stuff. Which is not a simple organism. This is more like an organism than it is a business or an organization. And it comes down to one thing, that cities create a ton of data and a ton of different types of data. One type of data that's emerging that we're seeing is video. Video has been thought of as a source of images, a way to see the world, but because of computer vision, because of video analytics and machine learning, we're turning video into IoT data. That means a video camera can give you a wealth of different insights and alerts that help you run a smarter city, keep it safer, and improve operations. I'll give you a few examples here. Before that, did you know this? There's over 245 million surveillance cameras globally. Imagine if these were used to gather data from the world that we could use for smart cities, operational intelligence, business intelligence, and security, all while protecting privacy, which is a big deal. So let's look at how some of this is being used. You can see the traffic analysis that we're doing with video analytics here, and the intelligence that happens behind the scenes. So all these lines that are being drawn around these vehicles are the intelligence of the machine trying to figure out what each one of these is. So it can count and classify bikes, cars, trucks, buses, and then tell you on a granular 24/7 level what your traffic composition is. This is incredibly powerful. We used to send someone out with a little clicker and a clipboard to capture an hour of data, and now we can have this all day with these types of analytics. Things like people counting, queue counting, all these things can give us data about what's happening in our city. So people walking around, you can see you have no idea who these people are. You're not collecting any private information. You're simply counting the number of people and the directions that they're walking. Security is another aspect of this. We all want our cities to be safe. We can do things like intrusion detection, object detection, and then use this type of data to not only protect places, but use it for things like customer service. Object detection at a train station, for example, where you can see if something's been left behind and get it back to their owner more quickly. So just a few examples of the type of data that are out there. So as I said before, there's a ton of data and a ton of different types of data. So what we need to do is find a way of bringing all this data together in a way that's meaningful for us so we can visualize it, we can interact with it, and we can pull insights out of the analytics that we use with this data. And this can't just be in a central command center. We have to make sure this is distributed intelligence. This is something we can see on mobile devices, something that our entire network of people can have access to, so every actor in the system is more intelligent. There are some things like military and police that lend themselves to central command and control, but when we have this distributed intelligence, we have a truly smart city full of smart people, and that'll lead to a more resilient sense. And this won't just be solved by governments. This is something where everyone plays a role. Would you rather be safe in the airport, or the train station, or your local park, or at the shopping mall? Please choose. Right? It's a ridiculous question. Right? It makes no sense. You need to be safe everywhere you go, and you want everywhere you go to be convenient and help you do what you want to do there. Get around, to find the right thing to shop for, and get out of the city through the airport and stay safe. So all these different things and actors need to play here. So let's talk about some things that are happening in the real world. So I've just shown you a lot of technology, talked about what smart cities are, but who's actually doing this, and what are some case studies we can point to? Curtin University is now a smart campus. Using some of this technology, they are better understanding the utilization of their buildings, the activity of people on campus, what their journeys are, where they start, where they walk around, and not an individual, but just the people, so they understand what the activity is. With that, they can optimize the usage of their buildings, they can create a campus that's more engaging and interesting for the people there, and they can also keep the places more secure. They're using things like facial recognition to detect test fraud. So if you send in your cousin on test day, they won't be able to take the test. So this also helps with academic clarity. So these are some of the outcomes they found. So they've created a smart campus that improves the student experience. New York Waterway is a ferry system that operates obviously in New York, between New York, New Jersey, all the different boroughs. This is a form of transportation that's really helpful and has helped out not only in the daily commutes, but during disasters. During 9/11, during the blackout, when the U.S. Airways flight crashed in the Hudson River, and Hurricane Sandy, New York Waterway was there to get people off the islands and into safe places. So this is a really important part of the transportation ecosystem. So they've enabled smarter ferries. They've connected the ferries to the IoT data and the operational data of the boats, as well as video and analytics to create faster emergency response when something happens, to keep these ferries safer, running on time, and then combine that data with local buses and trains to make sure that if a bus is late, they can slow down a little bit and save some gas, or if they're running late and the bus is on time, they need to speed up. So this is sharing that data and making sure that everything's working together. So on that note, sharing data is really important. We worked with the city of Copenhagen through a co-creation process to bring not only the city, but local organizations, local businesses to the table to figure out how they could be a smarter city in a way that's inclusive and helps all of those businesses. They want to reach really aggressive sustainability goals, but they also want to have an innovative economy. So what we co-created was a data marketplace. A lot of cities have an open data portal where they publish public data, but this is where businesses can buy and sell data from each other. Academia can purchase data or access data from a variety of different sources that give them much better insights into what's happening in their city. Imagine how many Ubers are out there waiting to be born because they don't have access to data. So if they're able to buy and sell data from these other companies, this unique, valuable data that otherwise was not available, many new innovations come out, many new forms of business, forms of services and products can be born. This is a really, really cool project. Airports, again, a big part of it. Airports want to be safe. They want to get people through the system as quickly as possible so they have a good experience. And then once you're actually in the terminal, you're basically in a shopping mall. So they need business intelligence in order to provide to those retailers and to the businesses that are in those terminals so they can run smarter businesses in those terminals. So they've implemented something similar where they have video analytics, they've got the data coming in where they can run analytics on top of it and do things like this, where we detect a long line in the airport, they can get an alert where they can then send out a new ticket agent, or they can open up a new security gate, or they can send out a new passport control officer to make sure that you're having the best experience possible in that airport and get you through that system as quickly as possible so you're having a good time and you make your connection. So digital transformation is really important. I'm sure everyone remembers the Australian fires that ravaged that country a few years ago. A lot of these were started from utility poles that tipped over or were arcing or started fires because of a sandstorm. So what they've done with one of the utilities is outfitted those poles with IoT sensors, so that instead of having someone drive across the country to look at all these poles and make sure that each one is working correctly, they have data coming straight from that infrastructure, so they can see in real time if there's high temperatures, if there's smoke, if there's arcing and sparks coming out of these things, so they can go directly to them and fix them. In the future, it would be great if we had things like drones that were able to go out and take pictures of these so we knew exactly what was happening. These are the places where these things are starting to go. Further out in the future, those drones will have robots that can go out and fix them themselves, but that's more in the imagination at this point. Stadiums, a place where we all love to go. We love to watch our sports. We love to see performances. But these are places that are vulnerable to threats, especially things like, again, drones can be used to fix these utility poles, but they can also be used for bringing chemical and biological weapons into stadiums. A really scary part of this. And so what the stadium has done is integrated drone detection and denial, where they can see drones coming towards the stadium and getting nearby so they can shut them down or send them back. This will be an incredibly important type of technology in the future. They're also implementing things like video surveillance, analytics, and things for operational, from an operational standpoint, as well as security, things like intrusion and facial recognition. So all of this is really important to keep us safe. Police are using this. Austin, Texas is a city that's implemented a camera and intelligence system to become a more data-driven policing organization. So I don't know how many of you read the book Moneyball, but they're basically taking a Moneyball approach where they're using the data from the city and the crimes to take that approach of putting police where they need to be based on data, not just a hunch. And that's helping them to reduce crime and prevent crime, which is what it's all about. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Hitachi. You may be wondering, I have maybe a Hitachi air conditioner or a hair dryer. What is Hitachi really doing in smart cities, and has it worked in India? Well, a lot of the use cases I just showed you are from Hitachi. We're doing a ton of interesting stuff in smart cities, and we're also doing a lot of projects in India. One is a renewable energy management system. So we're working with partners to do energy optimization of wind farms. So to make sure that those wind farms are returning the right amount of energy to optimize the cost and power input ratios. Another project we're working on is with a leading hotel in Bangalore. So we're connecting to a lot of their building systems to, again, optimize the operations there, reduce costs, and give them data-driven operations. We have a consortium led with the Confederation of Indian Industry that is working to build projects out throughout India and replicate them in other cities. And we also have kicked off a project for a mass transit system in Mumbai. This is led by Hitachi and working with the Maharashtra government. And this consortium we're leading with a lot of different partners to deliver a rail network that will serve over 11,000 customers per hour over 110 kilometers. So this is a really cool way that Hitachi is getting involved. This is a sampling of the things that Hitachi does. So it's a company that has a huge variety of different capabilities, from energy to transportation to smart city data, all these things. So what we do, as I said with Copenhagen, is take that co-creation approach where we sit down and figure out what are those outcomes that you're looking to achieve, and we can pull from our set of solutions and our solution partners to provide those outcomes that the customers are looking for. What does this have to do with IoT? Well, there's one side of the house that's the operational technology. This is the physical stuff in the world, the trains, the elevators, all of these things that are out there. The other side is the IT. This is the software, the analytics, the data storage and management. And a lot of companies are working on either side, and some are trying to cross over from one to the other. There's one company, I'll bet you can guess who it is, that has over 100 years of operational technology expertise and over 57 years of IT. And that's Hitachi. So that's how we play in IoT. It's a natural connection that we're connecting those physical things in the world to sensing, to data, in order to help you make smarter decisions about business, about how you run a city, how you run operations. And again, this is something where our company is driven by social innovation. This is something where our CEO, our entire executive leadership, and the people who work at the company are there because they want to make a positive impact on the world. And that's what we call social innovation. That's through everything from analytics, artificial intelligence, robotics, and all of the things that I mentioned earlier. So I'll conclude with that, but I thank you for your time. And I'm looking forward to a great discussion with my fellow panelists here. So thank you.
Thanks, Justin, for your very insightful information. Before I request Ajit, I just want to tell you, because I've been part of a number of smart city initiatives, the government of India came out with, 3 kinds of smart cities. I'm not sure how many of you are aware. First are the greenfield smart cities, like GIFT. And some of the examples are the Noida, Greater Noida, Chandigarh, New Raipur, which takes around 20 to 30 years to get some revenue out of these cities. Then there is a second kind of cities, which is somewhere around 1,000 acres of land, which is already built, and where you are trying to create some IoT solutions and trying to make it smart. And one of the example of that is the Bandra Kulra complex, where some work has already started. The third is like a 50 acres of, I'm using the word slum area, where you are trying to recreate that, and that is something like a Bhindi Bazaar in Bombay, in Mumbai. So these are the 3 kind of cities, and I was part of one of the discussions where in one of the very, very advanced cities, and I don't want to name it, whenever it used to rain, it used to flood. And they invited me to give them a consultancy and what can we do as per IoT is concerned. While thinking and discussing a lot, it was realized that the whole city was developed without a drainage system. This is the real challenge what we are facing in our country. Okay. And that's the kind of challenge which we all have to come out with, that how in those small Varanasi gullies we can have a drainage or a water supply where there is no pipe. And that's what we are really working on, and that's what we have to work. And now I request Ajit. Ajit has been a technologist and entrepreneur in the Bay Area for over 25 years. As a system thinker, he has a rich and diverse background in processor architecture, networking, security, high performance web services, and enterprise IoT. He led engineering initiative in the startup NetBoot, Procket, Polo Alto Networks, and Rev, as well as established companies AMD and Juniper Networks. Currently, he is the chief architect of Cognito Network. He is focused on delivering IoT solutions. Come, Ajit. You want to? If you want to do it from here, that's also okay. It's totally your wish. So you have around, you have a presentation or? Okay, so you can do it from here then.
Hello. I've been involved in different technologies, all the way from processor as this. I've been in the industry for quite some time now, and there are a lot of things. What happens is, you have a legacy system and different areas that you go into. And when you're trying to get something done in a new environment, like the smart city is not something that is one aspect of it. It's a widespread, as Justin mentioned. So it has different aspects of it. And what we are looking at Cognito is, we have an infrastructure that is useful in the IoT framework. And we can do, our vertical solution would be smart energy management. That goes in applicable not only in the industry, but also in the consumer goods space, whereas in the retail space as well, and in where the consumption is pretty high. But one thing that I notice is that there are a lot of things that are legacy systems that are available. And we don't need to have the ability to integrate those legacy systems and then not say, okay, I'm going with the smart city, drop everything away. We cannot afford to do that. And those are things that need to be taken into account. And smart city is something that there's an application oriented towards it. There are a lot of verticals in this same space. But there's a lot of spacing area wherein the data accumulation is widespread and it can be shared across different applications. So we need to start partitioning in such a way that data collection is one aspect of it, and then you print the verticals on top of that. That means you can collect data at different spaces, then you can use it in different applications. For example, you could potentially take a video surveillance data, images, but also start looking at it for analytical purposes. Like if you have a road in front of your house or anything where the camera is, you could potentially use that data to monitor the traffic and see what is going on. So it doesn't have to be that, okay, I want the camera data to be used only for specific things. So data sharing becomes a very crucial one. That's one aspect of it. Now there are certain things that security is also become crucial in IoT. Security has many aspects to it. One is the application security itself. The other one is the system security, and also the sensors themselves when they are producing data in the network security as well. Those are things that need to be looked into and from the starting itself and not as an afterthought. And that is what we need to consider as well. The other one is this thing, when you're looking at in the city, the consumer space becomes a very big, significant aspect of it. That means the ease of use has to be very easy for the customers to use. It should be plug and play as much as possible. But also at the same time, be able to integrate with other devices that are coming into the market. So you need to be very careful about that. And then that's the reason what I was suggesting to Justin earlier, as he covered in the start, is you split this up into verticals, and in the horizontal space, you have modules that you have built in. And at the module level, you provide APIs or interfaces, which tend to be a little more standardized. Because if you look at the present situation now, a lot of the data that's being collected, there's no single standard. There are gateway vendors who can support up to 140 protocols. And you'll be amazed that it's still working. But now if you start saying, okay, let them give me the data in 140 protocols, I try to collect it in the cloud, that's not going to work. It has to be normalized as close to the edge as possible, so that you have a standard data coming into the cloud where the application sits. In some cases, this cloud model works out very well, and it scales, and then there is a resiliency provided by it. So that's very pertinent in the smart city world. There are other areas wherein everything tends to be in the edge, and that is fine. But in cities, it's a distributed system by inherently. So we need to be careful about that. And the other thing is, how do you scale? I can't be running the system for the worst case scenario 24 hours a day. It cannot be. It has to be something that it scales dynamically throughout the day. Systems come on, new virtual machines. Earlier it used to be hardware, now it's virtual machines, now it's also gone finer by microservices. So these things have to be thought about right from the beginning in the architecture for different solutions. And once you do that, then you can provide a general, very scalable solution that can span across multiple applications and usage as well. And the other thing is, the reason you need to look at this is, as this thing Rishi mentioned, a city doesn't provide that, it's nothing common there. There is certain basic commonality, but when you really have to implement, it is a completely different domain. Like for example, a new city that is planned, it has wide roads and everything, traffic is monitored, and then it's feasible there now. But if you go back to the city in the areas where the roads are narrow, that's a different domain altogether. So your infrastructure or the software has to be very capable of modulating those things and handle all those things as well. So with that thought in mind, I think we need to have open architecture, standards where applicable, provide security, and when the consumers are involved, make it very user-friendly, they should have a good user experience.
Thank you very much, Ajit. It was very insightful, that open architecture, data's, how to have data management and the security, something which is very, really good. And, your focus on, the open architecture and thought about the architecture from the very beginning is something which usually people forget. And, that's something which I must say, people must remind themselves. And now I request Sivakumar, who is the director, Cimcon, India and Asia Pacific, Lighting Industries, a global automation company headquartered in the United States, with a footprint across 16 countries and 50 cities with products that fulfilling vision of a connected city. He's an electrical and electronics engineer and a management graduate with over 30 years of experience in the field of lighting. He started his career as a lighting designer, worked on lighting projects in institution business. As a director of Cimcon, he is focused on the Internet of Things covering applications in smart city lighting, water management, oil and gas sector, security system, and power equipment monitoring. His main focus will be on IoT and smart city lighting in the seminar. Yes. You want to go?
Good afternoon to all of you. Just a very brief information about Cimcon and nothing beyond that we are a global automation company, very much working in the area of smart city and in the Internet of Things. So we talk about automation, we are in lighting, we are in oil and gas, we are in defense applications, we are in water management. So that is Cimcon. The headquarters is in Boston. The global R&D is in Ahmedabad in India. And the products designed here are used all over the world. What we are focused on is on the complete, when I'm talking about now is smart cities, the areas that we are active in India is in the area of lighting. We are involved in the smart city lighting of Gandhinagar, Gift City and Nagpur Phase 1. And there are quite a few other projects which are right now where we're involved in terms of providing the lighting SCADA and the total hardware and systems which go into making lighting smart. So it's just a very simple example of a central management system where using a Google map, you have on your fingertips real-time information on what is happening in the lighting system in your city. Now, my short presentation is going to be on one, lighting as the backbone of IoT or the Internet of Things infrastructure and beyond lighting. Why I call lighting as the backbone of an IoT infrastructure is that for all the sensors, all the various subsystems that you use, you require power. And wherever you have lighting, wherever you have a pole installed, where there's a light working, you have electric power connection out over there. And that's the basic requirement for any of your sensors to work. The second aspect is that lighting is widespread. You have a lighting point maybe every 25 to 30 meters. So it is very easy in terms of precise location fixing for all the various sensors to communicate information. So when it comes to lighting, you're converting something which is basically called dumb, which has been an electrical subject, into electronics today, especially with LED lights coming in. The moment you have electronics, electronic lights, you can control electronics. And that is exactly what is smart lighting. So you know precisely which lights are working or not working. You can schedule them as you like. You can dim them to save further energy. You can ensure that when there is a vehicle movement or when there are people, the lighting can automatically brighten and reduce. So it's almost like saying that, you decide what the light is to do for you. And not that you are inheriting something which is just static and which just you see and walk around. So that's smart lighting. And that's what is now getting implemented across in the cities. There are a large number of projects which are working on group controls. But the real future lies in being able to control every individual light, know what is happening in terms of energy, and especially in terms of labor maintenance. Because if you know beforehand which light is working or not working, you can precisely attend to that without wasting labor's time. And when you go forearmed with all the information about what has happened in terms of the electrical parameters, you can really make it a very effective time-saving device. Now, while I talked about what is smart lighting and why it being distributed becomes very useful in terms of being able to control, I go to what is something which is beyond lighting. Now, lighting, smart lighting is going to happen. It is happening in all parts in many cities. But then you're also at the same time having a whole lot of smart infrastructure ecosystems, many subsystems which are happening, like what Justin was talking about in terms of surveillance, in terms of environmental pollution monitoring, in terms of display, even in terms of traffic movement, and it can also go into the areas of medical, the Internet of Things applied to medical technologies. In fact, there are people working on systems where as you're walking along a road and if you feel slightly uncomfortable, you just press a button and immediately your hospital or your doctor gets involved. You have systems which are already in operation where people feel they're getting attacked, immediately you use lights to signal the position where you are in and bring in the law enforcement. So what happens is that there are many of these subsystems which are happening, and each of these subsystems needs to communicate across to the master control room. You need interfaces which can communicate this data. Now, the area which is happening next in the field of smart lighting is, besides the lighting controller which is being put on every individual light, you provide also a sensor platform which is sandwiched between the light fixture and the controller. Now, this sensor platform can take the feeds from various systems and communicate it to the CDP or the main interface and finally on to the master control room. So, the very fact that this is being distributed, the fact that you have so many light points, so many controllers everywhere all across the city, means that you have a tremendous amount of accuracy with which, and also flexibility with which you can connect it. So this is just a schematic telling you about what are all the various services which you saw in a far more live, dynamic manner in Justin's presentation, right? This is all that can converge into one single smart pole, one single smart light, and with the smart pole having the electric charger for the electric vehicles, which is going to be, again, the future of two-wheelers in the country. So you have now something like in the case of Gandhinagar, where every light pole is also a Wi-Fi hotspot. So you have a whole lot of citizen facilities coming in, and all those facilities which are being done, all the surveillance which is being done, all the support which is being done, all can just coalesce into one single light point at every pole, and then it gets transmitted further down into whatever you want to apply in terms of data mining or controls or anything else that you want to do to make the life a very smart life for every citizen. So that's in brief what I wanted to talk about as to what is the power of Internet of Things, smart lighting, and what can be the future in this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Siva, for demonstrating how a pole can be used for an IoT perspective and how the existing infrastructure can be fully utilized. Now I request Chetan Mogal. He is the CEO of BIM Engineering US LLC US, a company that provides cutting-edge building information modeling, solution and consulting services for supplement traditional project delivery methods with technology-driven processes in the construction industry. Currently, he is serving the subcommittees of National Institute of Building Sciences, building smart alliances for proven practices and information standard development. He has also developed case studies for students under building construction program in Virginia. Thanks, Chetan.
Thank you. That was a nice introduction. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is enjoying the wealth of information provided by the panels before us and continue to get this wealth of information for the panels coming forward. I'm learning a lot, so it is definitely a good exercise for me. And I think we are elite group that gets to pay for these conferences and come here, but there are a lot of people that don't get these opportunities. So I will be talking about this at the end of my conversation. One of the patterns that is becoming very evident in this presentation that I see is push to make technology a mainstream application, especially in construction. Mainstream is really the key word here. I want to share my story as it relates to such technologies, its applications, and the future. Some of you might find my presentation and conclusion different from what you might be expecting. In my career, I had an opportunity to study in a top construction management institutions and grow to become a top executive in the top construction management organization in the United States. We were early adopters of construction soft technologies. We were closely connected to companies like Vela Systems, Autodesk, research and development teams, providing mainstream feedbacks when testing their products. My primary job was to take the technologies from a cool concept and making it work for the bottom line. Make it mainstream. By 2011, our CEO made the use of technology mandatory across the organization. We had achieved the mainstream application. In 2014, the government of the United States followed the same protocol and made all these applications and mandatory by 2016. This is a success story, or a glass half full in perspective. What we learned was technology inherently is very consistent. And the problem was human integration and applications by the humans. As we continue this journey, to solve this problem, the industry is moving into automations, machine learning, AI, which will replace humans because that's where the errors are happening. Where I'm going with this is, in order to make cities smart, we have to first learn how to build smart. In order to build smart, we need to have smart, skilled professionals. So we have to go bottom up, because no matter what we push downstream, if there is the same process, same infrastructure, same people, the output would be the same. I'll quickly go through the presentation. I'll go to the last slide and where we're going with this so that we can make this presentation short. So where I'm starting with this is very normal knowledge these days. We are a young country, right? So India is a young country with 87% of population under the age of 45. It is a young country. It has a tremendous working potential, and the demand and supply curve is just phenomenal. There is a huge demand and supply is very limited, right? This is potential. This is potential for the country. Now let's talk about the education system, the process that we have currently. We take 4 to 5 years to finish fundamental education. Then we go to some technical school, learn a tool or a software and spend another year learning a tool. Then we spend about 1 to 3 years perfecting the skill, because in order to become a skill, you have to spend about 10,000 hours working at the tool. And that's where we become skilled labor. So we spend 6 to 8 hours of a journey becoming skilled laborers. Okay? So fundamental education, engineering schools, architecture schools, and we all know when we graduate from the fundamental education, it does not match the real world experience. Completely different experience, right? So what we do is we learn and get into these tools, and it becomes a cycle. We get the tool, we learn a tool, we graduate from the school, technical school, we work for 3-4 years, the tool is outdated, technology is outdated, we go back to school, learn a new tool or upgrade a new tool, go back to working, perfect the tool in 3 years. The cycle keeps on going. We never leave the skilled labor mentality. This is the barrier of our system. So we have a potential, we have a barrier of this cycle, and it keeps looping around skilled labor market. Now look at this. This is a very interesting graph I found. At age of 25 is typically when we all hit the working force. And by age of 45, the growth from 25 to 45, we are doing very well. Most of us do very well. Excellent progress, 20% raise, whatever we're doing. At age of 45, our graph starts to flatten. We run horizontal. We have family. We want to be risk averse. We want to be, we are not interested. We don't have to drive to learn the new tools, new technologies. So we start going flat. And age of 65, the graph starts going down. The point I'm trying to make here is we have 20 years to make the impact that will last 35 years. Okay? So take these three things in perspective. Young country, we only have 20 years to make an impact. So 2030, 2035, what happens? With the skilled labor mentality, we start having a problem. At 45, we have a stagnant economy, right? We can't grow because we have a stagflation, or we are not learning new tools and the technologies are getting outdated. And slowly by age of 65, we get into a serious problem. So 85% of people 20 years from now, if you're skilled laborers, the skill might be outdated. What do we do? Learn a new skill? It becomes very difficult. So this is our concern that we have right now. Very significant concern. So this is how I look at the solution. So first question I ask everyone is, have you seen an entrepreneur without a skill? Most of the time people will say, no, I don't remember any entrepreneur that has no skills, right? The second question I ask is, have you seen a skilled person not become an entrepreneur? We see it all the time. Skilled person does not necessarily become an entrepreneur. So why are we learning skills, right? Why are we learning skills? We should be pushing entrepreneurship. Skills is a default. We're just going to be a skilled person if we become entrepreneurs. And the way you modernize, the solution is modernize institution, which is built of four things: fundamentals, technology, exposure, and leadership. This has to be part of the institutional environment. It can be divided into two pieces: the skilled labor piece, where we learn, we enforce, and the incubator piece, where we are engaged with leadership in the industry, with market experience that is involved with us. With these add-ons within our institution, we become skilled professionals. And a skilled professional is an attitude shift in the economy. When you change from a skilled labor who is a task-oriented person, a skilled professional becomes a decision-oriented person. And we saw that, right? It's more productive-driven. And the way this happens, and we don't waste 20 years of our life learning a tool, is by having this leadership exposure. We all learn our lives through mentors. We have mentors, and mentors make our lives more successful. They tell us which school to go and where not to go. It's very important that within the institutions, the mentors and the panels like we have here get engaged in the institutional setup, right? That's my call here. We want to make sure that these panels are going to schools and universities locally or in wherever we can, and we are engaging with the students, because that's where that needs to happen, not when they come to the working environment. That's where we need to do. So that's my proposal, from changing the potential of a barrier and a concern 20 years from now to making a pathway into an opportunity. This is a modern institution and basically need of an hour, that from my perspective. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chetan. It was a very different kind of perspective which you have shown. Thank you very much. It was really interesting hearing you. Now I request Rohiet Sharma, he is National Sales Head for Homes, Honeywell Homes and Building Technology, to come and share his thoughts. Okay.
So I can do it from here?
Yeah, you are free to do it from there, not a problem.
So Honeywell is working with the smart city solution not only in India but worldwide. I'm sure Justin, while mentioning a lot of examples which we saw of Europe, US, I just want to share something with all of you, that India is not behind. We have done Bhubaneswar, Indore, Ujjain, and Aurangabad. These are the cities which are already on surveillance using ENPR solution of Honeywell, using a lot of data analytics which is taken care by traffic and the other people. Having said that, let's move ahead. What we really want from the topic, and that is how these IoT enabled devices are going to help us. There are two aspects to it. One is the buildings. Why I would say buildings is 80% of the time we are either inside our houses or we are in the offices. So buildings become a very important part. And second is the homes itself. Now I would take few points from all these speakers which spoke about the solutions. As an industrial software company, what Honeywell believes is how you want to utilize IoT to solve and reduce the problems which we are facing right now. How would consumer understand it? Ajit mentioned that the consumer should be really able to understand it. I think when we defined that the IoT enabled devices are going to give us the comfort, convenience, control and safety, that's where we are talking about a value prop to the consumers. It's very important to have a value prop to the consumers, because whatever is the initiative, whether the government is taking it or whether the technological giants like Honeywell or Hitachi, we all are participating in it, till the consumer or the layman does not understand why we are talking about this topic, I think we are going nowhere, right? I would just take one more point from Ajit, where he was talking about interoperability is a problem. Many devices are there, but they are kind of having some kind of problem that the data cannot be shared or the APIs are not available and so on and so forth. I think what I see is, apart from that, so I think we need to have solutions which are modular, retrofittable, because like Dr. Rishi said that India has a specific problem, right? We need a solution which is retrofittable. We don't want to reinvent the wheel entirely. It should be an industrial design so that the consumers can easily understand and use it, and it should be affordable, right? I think all these 4 solutions, if they are combined, the consumer can really understand what are the benefits I'm going to derive from these IoT devices. Now, smart city, like lightly said by you, Justin, I know it's a very big concept. I think you can find 400 answers in this room as well. It's not the 100 people you have to go. But at the same time, we need to really define where to begin. Though we have the list of 20 or 30 odd cities which we are talking about, and when the government is working, we need to really define that how we are going to first lay down the foundation of taking care of few steps at a time. I say half step is a good step, right? And security, let's say, matter of fact, could be the first criteria, where we are talking about a population of 1.5 billion. And whenever we have a small festival also, we have a huge gathering, which we all can see. So, how I would say is, the way we need to focus is, first is to educate the common man that why these solutions are going to benefit him. I think that moment is required, because that is going to enable even the government to take steps on it, right? So, as Honeywell, we have around 25,000 engineers globally who are working on softwares. Our physical devices are available from last 100 years. And now what we are thinking is how to make those physical devices, which are also called as dumb devices now, the old devices, really be used on a cloud platform. Because what does the cloud gives us? This is something, a value prop, a common man does not understand. When I say IoT, or when anybody says about IoT, it's not about something getting connected to Wi-Fi or internet. It's about something getting connected to a cloud server, which has the power of doing a data analytics or big data analytics, and making you more productive. So more you connected, more you're productive, right? And these 25,000 engineers what we have are working not only on the security and surveillance part, but also on smart energy, smart water, which are essential concepts, at least in India. So I won't take much time because most of the things have already been discussed here. But at the closing note, all I want to say is what Chetan really touched upon, a very different topic. I really appreciate that, and that is the ecosystem. How to create an ecosystem around who will take forward these smart city concept or IoT concept. I think what we need to do is really at the ground level, we need to really define to the at the education level, like you were saying, that what are a normal human is going to or need out of this. Because you can create many things, but if it's not solving one of my problems, I don't think it's its value. And that's where I totally believe that we can't just blindly copy examples from West or from East or from Japan or something. We need to really design in the house and take it one step at a time. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohit, for your insight. Before I request Sunil, while we're talking about India, I just want to share you with one example. I was interviewed by a French company which was for the solid waste management. Okay. And they asked me, and they were interviewing me, and they asked me how the waste get managed at our home. And you all are sitting, I told them that, me or my wife give a packet of garbage to a person who comes to collect it at home. Okay. He opened the garbage bag in front of us, segregated whatever can be recycled, whatever can be sold, and he segregated in front of us and goes. And most of us must be paying them less than $2 a month. Okay. And that provides a huge amount of job to a very big push, number of people in India. After hearing this, he said the solution will not work. It's not a business proposition for us in India. Because first, if they'll implement some large garbage bins, which are smart bins, somewhere around 100 meters or 200 meters away from our home, either me or my wife will have to go and collect, carry it and throw it there. And then we'll be paying around $10 a month. So inconvenience cost, more cost, and loss of job. So many times a solution which is a smart solution anywhere else in the world will not work for us here in India. And that's what, Rohit said, we have to invent our own solutions because our problems and our challenges are very different, which is a very, very, very relevant point for us. Now I request Sunil Shetty. He's currently working as a key account sales manager at Advantech India. He has worked in technical sales in Lenovo and he won various private organization projects. He was also working as internal team lead for CRM usage and customer feedback report. Within Advantech, he worked on several design-in projects and developed products as per customer requirements. He has also designed projects for chiller plant IoT application. His area of interest is on smart city projects like surveillance, connecting devices, smart factory applications. Yeah, sure. Sarnaik.
Thank you so much, sir. So I believe I am way too junior to sit in this panel. It's a nice experience for me. So here I will not talk much about the technology or what we need to do. Mainly on the solution, what India is actually looking for, and every day how we will get the IoT inquiries or how to fulfill their project. Because trust me, every other day we will get one or other requirement from the customer, starting from the factory automation, it could be from the retail industry or could be from the medical devices, where they want to interconnect all the devices and monitor the data in one particular location. So recently we have successfully done the Nagpur Smart City Surveillance project, because in the smart city mainly the surveillance would take the first priority, and as a part of Advantech, we are the manufacturers for the gateways, and and the best part is here is I can collaborate with everyone here and provide the best IoT solution. That's one of the best part of me here, because we provide the hardware platform and help the customer to build their application on top of it. So here the major challenge what we face every day is the customer will be having the legacy devices and they don't want to change the complete setup when they are migrating to the IoT. And with those legacy devices, sometimes the lack of infrastructure, we face a lot of problem. So we may not able to capture the data from the device or from the field. So I believe if there is no data is collected from the device or from the field, there won't be any next layer coming up. So the IoT will stop there itself if I'm not able to capture the data from the system or from the field. So we need to have some more kind of sensors where it can manage the pressure or vibration. We have only the basic sensors level in India of temperature and humidity, and maybe some of you have already deployed some of the project in India, and some issues are still facing. So here as a IoT, what I would suggest here is we need to provide the end-to-end solution to the customer. We need to make them aware what will be the ROI of that. Because when we go and pitch in our IoT solution, the first question will be what would be their ROI. So what revenue they are getting in this. So we need to educate the customer. So we have some of the layers starting from sensors, the protocol. Every customer prefer different protocol to capture the data. Every customer approach us with a different platform, mainly security as a major threat here. So we have come up with a consortium partner where we can provide end-to-end solution. So right now I will not take much of the time. So here what I learned on this, the panelists, from all the panelists and from the past 2 years where the IoT buzz has been started from 2015. And I don't think so, like much of us, we are all from different company, and so far we did not get much revenue from the IoT. And in India, without POC, I don't think so we can move forward with the major projects. Customer want the POC at every level. So we are very happy to provide the POC, I mean proof of concept, to everyone. So that we need to take a step forward to go for the mass deployment. We need to convey the message in such a way that we all organizations are ready to deploy the IoT into this smart city. So we need to make the better India, and we need to start implementing it. So finally, I would like to say, when we approach this, we need to make the end user experience it, and we have to experiment every other day the new technology and execute here. So those are all my thoughts, and thank you so much.
Yeah, Sunil, not the age, but the experience matters. So, you have a lot of experience in implementing. And I fully agree that the industry is maturing. So the proof of concepts and people are ready to pay for the pilots, not ready for the pay of pilots, is everything happening. I am running this organization, AERIS Communications, since last 1 year or so in India. And, I just want to share that we are in a stage where we'll be signing a deal which is an end-to-end IoT deal, which will generate approximately $600,000 a month. One deal, okay? $600,000 a month, and it's a profitable deal. Okay, we'll be announcing in the press in next few weeks. But there is money. so people hopefully should not feel worried about whether there's money or not. And I've been working on this particular technology for quite some time. So I can bet that there's huge amount of money people can make out of it. Yeah. Now I request Swati, and I know her from quite some time, and I'm really proud of being with her. Swati is an alumnus from IIT Guwahati. As a young professional, she is among the very few professionals in the manufacturing industry. Okay. So most of the time, like, I'm not sure how people will take it, but women usually don't go to the manufacturing plants and start doing manufacturing. But she has been bold enough, and she has been doing that job. And in the hardware industry, she might be one of the youngest and very few females in that industry. She takes great pleasure in dealing with the intriguing practical problems that span through the development of consumer electronics that are innovative work with stability and in extreme conditions and are commercially viable. Yeah, Swati, looking forward to hear from you.
Thanks a lot, Rishi sir. I think those were some motivating words for me. We guys are a home automation startup. We are Cubical Laboratories. I would like to give you a basic introduction to home automation. Home automation is nothing but getting a basic control of all of your electrical devices on either your smartphone or on a different interface. We guys started around 3 years back, and since then we have seen a tremendous increase in the awareness in the Indian market when it comes to IoT and smart solutions. I think with the launch of smart cities, we guys have seen a lot of awareness and a lot of openness of consumers towards IoT. So I agree with the point that there's of course a lot of potential and a lot of money in the market. We see a lot of competitor companies coming in, and when it comes to smart cities, I would like to express upon the area of building automation. So we guys are related to home automation, and building automation will obviously be a very important aspect of smart cities. Like Rohit sir said, we guys spend a lot of time in buildings, and we guys should have a basic automation system when it comes to buildings. What these buildings are mostly are about energy conservation. So with smart cities, we have energy systems in place, and we have a smart grid in place. With smart grid, we can integrate home automation solutions and bring on a lot of energy conservation onto the table. I would like to here make a point that the government is losing a lot of money when it comes to giving energy, sustainable energy to the people in India. I think when we have an example of Kerala government is losing, I think, 1,000 crores per annum to provide safe and less cheap electricity to its consumers. And this is actually a major problem for the government. And I think implementation of smart grids and home automation and their plug-in, they're plugging in such a way that they can actually see what kind of energy conservation can be done onto the homes. I think that can help in conserving the funds for better utilization and the further development of the country. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Swati. You know, I've personally seen the smart devices they have and the way they have been able to make the home smart. It's really worth, you know, seeing them and see how they have been able to utilize it. Now I request Tharma Indran, Associate Partner, Climatify Private Limited in Malaysia. He is a pioneer of Internet of Things based solutions for smart city and integrated communities developments in Malaysia. He has established the first IoT showroom and living lab, which provides an avenue for startups in Asian region to create a smart device ecosystem. The signature solution, B-Wave, is an end-to-end patented solution ideal for real estate developers, for residential, commercial, smart hotels, and even smart healthcare solutions. He has been awarded with Research Entrepreneur Award. He is a merit winner of Malaysian Commercialization Year 2016 and Asia Pacific Information and Communication Technology Award 2015. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm Tharma. It's a great pleasure to be here. And first and foremost, it is a fantastic feeling to see and experience such a great effort being done for IoT and smart cities over here. Because I've been traveling quite often to places like Singapore, even Taiwan and China to participate in IoT related events. And I think what we have here, it's very much focused on how the end user or the industrial clients will be benefiting from IoT. Just a brief, I think all gentlemen here have spoken much about smart city and IoT itself. What I'll be touching more is that the IoT industry itself, despite saying that there's a huge business opportunity and stuff, it is still highly fragmented. That's how Mr. Amit said earlier, there are just too many standards, protocols and stuff. And it makes the life of end user more complicated. And that is another reason why it basically makes them very difficult to adopt a solution when it comes to IoT. And at the same time, you can see in the chart at the bottom, those are a number of devices from startup communities from the US and Europe. With all this, what happens is end users have a tough time of choosing what could be the right device for energy management, what could be another one for automation, what could be another device for surveillance, which it typically means of having 10 or 15 different apps in your phone or in your tablet, and another process of pairing and which cloud actually hosts all these devices. And there are many studies which have clearly said that the IoT industry itself will be fragmented at least 2020 with no dominant ecosystem. So what generally it means is that when the planning is done when it comes to IoT implementation, it can be it for industrial, it can be for retail, or it can be for connected home application, or be it for connected healthcare. There has to be a proper planning to be done of what kind of interfaces and gateways that can be used. I think Mr. Sharma have also mentioned that how universal hubs and gateways can be used that can actually support as many devices as possible. Even in Malaysia, one of the biggest pain points that we face is that corporate clients, they will usually mention that, we are investing in some gateways and some devices. 1 year or 2 year down the road, that gateway is obsolete. Because from what we see, IoT is moving almost at breakneck speed. With the latest thing, as you can see, things like Amazon Echo, which is from Amazon itself, what the people generally call it Alexa. Amazon themselves didn't believe that they will own 75% of market share in the US from Alexa itself. The adoption rate have been significantly increasing, and how things are changing from just being automation devices to app control devices. Now it's completely being a voice-driven solution for connected home, even for connected healthcare for that matter. And the next stage is going to be, of course, the artificial intelligence. And what we have on B-Wave is generally a universal platform for connected home, smart hotel rooms, or even a connected healthcare solution. We have created a universal hub, which actually will encourage or will allow us to work on a partnership and collaboration model with all kind of device makers. Because as all the gentlemen here have mentioned earlier, IoT itself, it's not an industry for a single company to own. We have device makers from one end, and then we have the gateway providers, and then we have the connectivity providers where the telcos themselves come in, and then finally we have the cloud services providers. And those guys are the experts on the security. And even in Malaysia, what will happen is we have a partnership collaboration. For example, we collaborate with the national, one of the main telco, which is telecoms, and then we have cloud hosting providers. And when we go and approach our clients, when our clients ask what kind of security can you provide for the devices and the wherever you're hosting, that's when our cloud partner comes in to answer the question. And if they're going to ask me that, can you promise guaranteed connectivity between your devices into the cloud, that's when our connectivity partner comes in. So we cannot be putting ourselves in the entire domain ourselves and answering and giving guarantee for everything. And as what we have explained earlier, when it comes to devices, there has to be significant localization need to be done. I think the common question, I think Swati will also agree with this, that things like smart home and automation has been there in the US and Europe for the last 20 years easily. But why the adoption rate in Southeast Asia or Asia has been very slow for that matter? I think the issue number one has been the localization. How well these products from the US or whatever can be used here. One good example is that everyone is talking about Amazon Alexa or even Google Home. But can somebody over here talk to Alexa in Hindi? No, they can't. Can someone in Malaysia talk to in Bahasa? 70% or 80% population in Malaysia are generally Malay Muslims who actually speaks in Bahasa. And they would ask me, why should I call the device Alexa? Can I call it with some other name? This is actually a good example of localization. And of course, it won't be right for me to go to an end user and ask them stop talking in Hindi and start talking to Alexa only in English. And she will keep repeating to you things that you will never understand. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say here is that it is good to know that there are a lot of startups coming up even in India itself. And what generally we do is that we work with the startup ecosystem. And what we want is for every country to have their own startup ecosystem. We come up with embedded system devices, which we severely lack when it comes to Southeast Asia and Asian market. Most of the hardware devices still comes from European countries and US, and which makes the solutions expensive. And affordability will be one of the most important elements. So when we have locally made embedded solutions and locally made devices for that matter, because what end user will require probably only one universal gateway within the home, but they will require at least 50 or 60 different devices within the same home. And it is going to be completely retrofit. And it will be a huge industry for the device makers. But most importantly, what they have to look into the aspect is that how it will benefit everyone. And one of the use case that we have done in Malaysia is one of the property developer or real estate developer have actually adopted IoT as a main core to sell their properties, whereby every home's actually a full-fledged IoT services from the home to the security control, and even to the extent that if there is a flood or landslide or a security breach, every house owners will be actually notified. It is actually a private initiated smart city project. So as you can see, things are moving more on the rapid space. They are talking about 30,000 homes. And the other important thing that I would like to highlight is over here, is that end of the day, the IoT will be successful with partnership and collaboration model with all parties. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your insights, and that localization and definitely the partner ecosystem are very key points for IoT success. Now I request Mr. Todd O'Brien, Managing Director, Smart City Accelerator, Dubai. Todd has spent the past 20 years helping companies globally move the needle on customer traction and revenue growth. His experiences include sales and marketing, SaaS, predictive analytics, IoT, big data, and smart connectivity. He has worked for Dell, Rackspace, and privately invested in and launched many startup ventures where he had some successful exits. He is currently launching a Smart City Accelerator in Dubai. Yeah, thanks Todd for coming over. Really glad to see you here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm going to talk about two things. I think I'm the last one, right? So I'll make it quick. I'm going to talk about two things in particular. One is what we hear anytime IoT is talked about. We always hear data, data, data. We're always hearing about the ones and the zeros. And so it is a very important part of IoT, obviously. But there's some really unique things going on with data, and I really kind of encourage everyone who's kind of going down the path of creating for smart cities or developing for smart cities is to really think about the technologies we need to manage smart cities, because it is all about the data, but it's about using the data right. Data in itself is useless if it's not used properly. If you talk to any data scientist, which my time at Dell, the last couple of years, I spent way too much time with data scientists. I love them, but they will always tell you that with data, it is the prep of that data that gives it the, it makes it where you can use it. So data prep and then being able to use it, the health of that data, and so forth. So there's technologies that are coming out, particularly to live on gateways, called edge technologies. I think there was a mention of an edge server intelligence. And basically what that is let's give a good example. You showed the wind generators. So wind generators going around, it's collecting data every second of the RPM, how fast it's going, none of that matters. What matters is when there's a problem. So it's the anomaly in the data that needs to be detected. So when you're talking about data analytics and how we use this in our cities, we have to be able to detect anomalies in security. We have to be able to detect anomalies in traffic flow and everything that's happening. Those are the important pieces of data. So we can have sensors until we're blue in the face, right? We can have sensors everywhere, and we can collect as much data as we want. But if that data is not properly analyzed and in as much real time as possible, it becomes useless, and it sits in a data warehouse somewhere that somebody figures out what happened 6 months ago. So one of the things that happened in London, I lived in London for the past 4 years before moving to Dubai, and one of the things that I was working on with a company in London was they were digitizing the entire city. So they went and the entire city became a digital asset. So every parking space, everything that was going on, and they had constant pull from cameras and different places to when the city traffic flow or when the traffic patterns changed. And a good example of this was during the Olympics in 2012. They were working with the London Transport because they change a lot of the roads. There's a lot of one-ways, two-ways that become one-ways and different things like that. So having it as a digital asset, it's much quicker for them to do that and to actually be able to then find out what are the anomalies that are going on so that I can actually navigate someone properly. So all of the VIP, all of the sports people were able to quickly navigate across a city that's hard to get across anyway, but then you add a whole bunch of traffic, it's even harder to get across. So we have to think sort of beyond just the data. We have to think about how do we analyze the data. So an example of edge technology is a couple of years ago, we were working with Formula One, and they were collecting 4 terabytes of data every lap. It's a lot of data, 4 terabytes of data. And they wanted to analyze that data in order to feed back to the drivers in the car for the next lap. There was no possible way to do it. There was a window of opportunity for 10 seconds to pull from a Wi-Fi from the car. There was no way to do it. So we started building these edge analytics models that actually lived in the car. And it actually lived where the data was being collected. So you'll see that happening a lot, and that's one of the future things. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the data. But the reason I wanted to talk about the data is because data is pointless without actually extracting it and using it properly. But smart cities and all data is pointless if it doesn't do the right thing for the people in the city. And you alluded to this. I'm really glad you led with that, because it really is true to any smart city urban automation project that we're working on. If it does not impact the people in the city, then it is a pointless project, because the idea is for people to have a happier, more sustainable life within the city. And I think the future of this is people getting rewards for being more sustainable, right? Right now, I think it's in Denmark or somewhere, there's a new company called EcoCoin. And basically they are giving away sort of like a digital currency, or it is a digital currency that people can buy things with by rewarding them for riding their bicycle to work that day. That works in Denmark, it doesn't work here, right? But it works for those particular cities for people to be rewarded, because it's all back to the people. And so I'm just ending with that to say that let's keep those things in mind, that when we're developing, when we're building for smart cities, the people have to be the first and foremost thing around the data, and then the data needs to support all that's happening within the city, and the data needs to be properly executed on. And you can only do that by analyzing it in more real time, which makes it more difficult, but it also makes smart cities a lot more sustainable and a more real idea, because smart cities, let's be fair, has just been a term. It's not been real. There hasn't been a lot implemented in smart cities, and we're getting there. But it will get there as people are rewarded and it benefits the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd, for your discussions and very valuable points. You know, even though we started 10 minutes late, we are on time, okay? With 10 minutes, yeah. So, you know, but I am happy, you know, to take 2 questions or 3 questions. So if anybody has any question for any of us, we'll be happy to answer. But maybe 1 or 2 or 3 questions max. Yeah.
Very good afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah. Very good afternoon to all. My question is that we all are gathered here and we are discussing on how IoT will help building smart India. But my question is, do India has resources who can help in building the smart cities or smart India? Who can understand this IoT technologies, latest technologies which is required to develop smart cities?
So I'm not sure if anybody else would like to answer, but let me start. So your question is whether we have the skill set required to deliver what is supposed to happen. So in one of the discussions I was having, there was somewhere around say 20 billion devices that will get connected globally. And then when we started calculating backwards, we realized that this will require 4.5 million program managers who will be able to manage or develop these kind of solutions, and will require approximately 10 million plus developers who will be able to develop such consolidated solutions. Okay, so your question is right that we lack those kind of skill not only in India but globally. Okay, that's one. So I agree with your point. But the point number 2 is what we are doing for it. Okay, so Government of India has started working on skill development on Internet of Things, and the consolidated courses have also been initiated. And the organization like IET and NASSCOM has started supporting the skill development and Government of India Ministry of Education, Department of Education, to see how that can be started as part of the curriculum. personally myself has done one credit course for the engineering students in SRM University, Chennai. And we have started that kind of things to see how can we learn what is required to be taught as an IoT course, because it's a new technology, new things that is happening. So things have started. It is going to take time. And for creating the developer community and also for the program management community, there are initiatives that have started so that, whether you are from a manufacturing plant or you are from an IT services or you are from the communication industry, how can you understand the end-to-end ecosystem and deliver an end-to-end solution in IoT? So that is something which is happening in India also. Yeah. Yes, Vijay.
Yeah, hi. My question is to Justin or from Hitachi or from Rohit. Anyone who's handling products in India and overseas, in the growth of the IoT related products and selling them in India, do you see any differences in the characteristics of the solutions you are selling in India from the products that are sold overseas? And connected to that is, how do you see the potential in India actually building up? We would feel that India has to leverage their IT expertise, really a substantial IT expertise, and take advantage of that and really leapfrog in the IoT industry in a big way, just like it has done in the mobile, for example. And do you see that happening or not? And if you do, how do you think that can happen, please?
There we go. Okay. So for the first question, I think it does differ in the outcomes and the applications, right? So if we're looking at developing smart cities in, say, Taiwan or the United States, it is a lot more about taking that legacy infrastructure in a dense city and providing IoT devices and data on top of that. In India, things like smart villages are extremely important, right? So getting clean water, reliable energy sources, and resilient energy grids to those communities. So again, I think it starts with what Todd mentioned, which is starting with the human impact, starting with the outcome that you want to reach, and then backing into the solution that is locally appropriate. And that's the way, I think, to approach that challenge, and to make it regionally valid and not try to apply some kind of cookie cutter approach to it. In terms of talent, yeah, I think it's a big opportunity for India, and the fact that the government is putting so much political will and financial resources and really stepping out and announcing to the world that they are going to have these 100 smart cities is a huge, huge leadership step that India is taking. That I think the rest of the world is watching, and I think and hope India will be greatly successful in that to leapfrog into being that smart city or smart village that is appropriate for the people of India. That would be my answer.
Yep. So I will just like to, I agree with him, and I will just like to bring some kind of a demographic here. Now, different regions would have different kind of disposable income, discretionary income. And when it comes to India, we have this urbanized population, or 88 million households, which are in the urban cities, which have, and out of which around 4.5 million households are there, which are kind of very much similar to, let's say, Europe or US, convenience seekers or technological seekers. Apart from that, the large population, like Justin said, the solution for IoT would be more towards water, having air, good environment inside the building, or good environment inside the solution. How this would differ is somebody who is seeking a comfort or convenience would already have these basic amenities at their doorsteps. While in India, we are trying to enable all the basic amenities right now through the IoT. For example, security. Now we spoke about London projects in 2002 and 2012, what happened. In India, there are 4 smart cities which are there, like Bhubaneswar, one of them, Pune, Aurangabad, where the basic security surveillance system has just started. right? These projects have been finished just so. So we are far away from what has been like, what would be offered, let's say in Taiwan or let's say in Japan or in US. But at the same time, to the second question, I think we have the pool of people who can really devote time in it and get benefit out of it. The good thing is, what is the value prop out of it? We are going to be more productive. So we know the end result. It's just about, really taking the right resources who can work on these technologies, make people more productive. Once you do that, we can really utilize all the infrastructure which is already there in West and keep it here. It's about getting more productivity, and the solutions currently in India, I would say, are more towards giving the basic amenities through smart devices.
One question then, for your question regarding the resources.
You have to put the mic towards your, closer to you.
No, there are certain things that I would like to address when you're talking about, and also the other question that he had. With regarding to resources and the educated people, that is going to be a thing lacking throughout the world. But with India's education system, this provides an aspect of it, or an opportunity that you can improve the quality. That's one thing. And with improved quality and also our ability to have a lot of engineers, it gives a lot of opportunity for India itself. And your question about leapfrogging for the mobile and the telephone industry, that's very true. And we have an opportunity now to leapfrog in the other technology areas as well. And that was really a good observation from you. So we do have opportunities, and I think, as Justin was mentioning regarding the vertical stack, I think the government should say, okay, just facilitate things and let it go. Let the companies come up. And we have a younger generation which are very entrepreneurial, and let them go and let them do it. That can handle the consumer side of it. In the enterprise side, the companies come into the picture, wherein all the layers you develop as modules and you specify standards for how do you interface. I think you have a valid question, and we have a very good opportunity around it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we have crossed our time. So I'd like to thank everybody for patiently listening to us. I hope it was some useful for you to get some more perspective about smart city. Thank you very much.
May I now request Dr. Rishi Bhatnagar to give away the mementos to all the speakers.
We can have one photograph, group photograph.